Right. So talking about the quadratic formula. And we have three choices if we have a quadratic equation, something that is like an x squared plus 3x plus 2. And our three choices are, it could cross the x-axis at 2 spots, or it could cross, or it could just touch at 1 spot, or that parabola doesn't hit the x-axis at all. Those are our three choices. Okay. And we can look at an equation, and we should be able to tell by just doing a little figuring, because that's all this assignment is about. How many places does it cross the x-axis? Is it going to be 2, 1, or 0? How many solutions are there? 2, 1, or 0. It's all the same thing. All right. So let's take these examples. In the quadratic equation, inside the square root sign, the b squared minus 4ac, there's a name for that. It is called the discriminant. The discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. Okay, so if what's inside that square root, if it is positive, in other words, if this is greater than 0, that's all the ones that you guys had yesterday, right, when you had to do the quadratic formula. If that is greater than 0, if it's a positive number underneath the square root sign, then, as you saw from yesterday's work, there are two solutions. Did you have any yesterday in your homework where you got a negative number underneath the square root sign?
I don't know, but I'm really confused on
Yeah.
All right. Do you see the b squared minus 4ac underneath the square root sign? That's called a discriminant. Do you know that if this is a positive number, then we have two solutions? That's how you did yesterday. You have plus or minus. That's all I've said. Was there any that are negative?
Yeah, there were. Yeah. Are you talking about the
I'm talking about the homework that you did yesterday.
Yes.
Did you get a negative number underneath the square root?
Yes.
Okay. I don't think you would, but let me just
number 8 you did.
Number 8? Let me just double check.
Yeah. Unless I wrote it wrong. Number 8 you did.
Yeah, you might have, because there are...
Number 22 is well.
I thought you said it always had to be a positive number.
I think it does.
Yeah.
I think you got positive numbers, everything that you did yesterday. Okay?
What did you put greater than 0 for?
If it's greater than 0, isn't that a positive number? Yeah?
It's a positive
Number 8, you got a negative on the bottom.
No, not on the bottom.
Oh.
If you have a negative in the square root. So.
You were saying under the bottom.
No, you wasn't.
I don't think I did.
No, you weren't.
Maybe I did.
Once or twice you did.
No, you meant the discriminant. I know what you're saying.
What I said was if underneath the square root sign.
Okay, that's where.
Okay? If underneath the square root sign, it is a positive number, greater than 0. Right? Then there are two solutions, and that's like you did every one of your problems yesterday. If the discriminant is equal to 0, now you know two solutions. That parabola is going to cross the x-axis at two spots. But if it is equal to 0, then there's one solution. That means that that parabola just touches the x-axis. And I'll give you an example here. It would look like this one. Here's your y-axis, here's your x-axis. For this one, here's your y-axis, here's your x-axis. That means that the parabola will just touch. If the discriminant is less than 0, meaning if it's a negative number, then there are no solutions. That means that this parabola does not cross the x-axis. It might be up in a quadrant. Okay? So really all we have to do is look at the discriminant for today's lesson. All right, so let's take a couple of examples here. Here's an equation. Y equals. Emily, you got your work in front of you there?
I have mine.
Okay, just give me an example of one that we did yesterday.
X, yeah, 10x.
Give me the one that you said, number 8.
Number 8.
Yeah.
Negative 2x squared minus 5x plus 16 equals 0.
Okay, and when that equals 0. And here's the question that they're going to ask you today. How many solutions are there? How many x-intercepts are there? All you have to do is check the discriminant. The discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. What did I tell you about this b squared? Always positive. Okay? And what is the b term here? 5, right? So when you square it, it's going to be 25. Yes? Minus 4. And I also told you to make sure you're using parentheses. 4 times A times C. And let's see if that number is positive, 0, or negative. When you put that into your calculator, you're going to get 153, I believe. Because the discriminant is 153, that means that we have 2 solutions, which also means that we have 2 x-intercepts. That means it crosses the x-axis at 2 spots. Okay? Let's take an equation like x squared minus 8x plus 16 equals 0. Yes, Tom.
For 25 minus 4 times 8 and 16, I think 853. So
What did you? Maybe I did it wrong. I just did that in my head.
That's right.
What? Tell me what you did, Colin. No, let me see your calculator. Bring your calculator up.
okay.
That's okay. I can get it back. Bring it up. Because I think this is important. You did it in steps, didn't you? Okay. Do it all in one, because I think we get a little confused with positives and negatives. But do it all at once, and I think you'd be better off. All right, first of all, I'm going to show you two things here before I put it in the discriminant. Let's do the quadratic formula. X is equal to the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of the discriminant. Let's see what the discriminant is now. B squared minus 4ac. I'll do that over on the side. B squared, 64, minus 4 times 1 times. What do you get when you put that in your calculator? You get 0. All over 2a. What's the square root of 0? Well, there is, and it's 0. 8 plus 0 is just 8. 8 minus 0 is just 8. So the answer is 8 over 2, which is 4. Only one answer. If the discriminant is equal to 0, then there's only one solution. That means that that parabola is just going to touch. Luke, does this parabola open up or down? Luke? Does this parabola open up or down? It opens up. And it's just going to touch at 4. So that parabola will come down and it'll look something like that. Okay? If the discriminant is 0. And the final example is take x squared plus 7x plus 12. No, hold on, let's make this 4x. Sorry. Okay, equals 0. Kevin, are you getting this? Yeah. Let's look at the discriminant to see how many x-intercepts there are. The discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. B squared, 16, minus 4, times a, times c. Well, here that equals negative 32. How many solutions are there? 0. There are 0 solutions. The reason there's 0 solutions is because by discriminant, what's going to be underneath the square root sign is negative. That means it does not cross the x-axis. It means there are no x-intercepts. All right? And that's what this whole lesson is about, checking the discriminant. It's a great story. So on page 681 and 682, I want you to do problems 4 through 38, even ones, okay? And all that is just checking the discriminant for every problem.